What starts here changes the world. I have a few suggestions that may help you on your way to a better world. And while these lessons were learned during my time in the military, I can assure you that it matters not whether you ever served a day in uniform. It matters not your gender, your ethnic or religious background, your orientation, or your social status. Our struggles in this world are similar, and the lessons to overcome those struggles and to move forward, changing ourselves and changing the world around us, will apply equally to all. So here are the 10 lessons I learned from basic SEAL training that hopefully will be of value to you as you move forward in life. Every morning in SEAL training, my instructors, who at the time were all Vietnam veterans, would show up in my barracks room, and the first thing they'd do was inspect my bed. If you did it right, the corners would be square, the covers would be pulled tight, the pillow centered just under the headboard, and the extra blanket folded neatly at the foot of the rack. It was a simple task, mundane at best, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, tough, battle-hardened SEALs. But the wisdom of this simple act has been proven to me many times over. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. So if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. During SEAL training, the students are all broken down into boat crews. Each crew is 7 students, 3 on each side of a small rubber boat, and 1 coxswain to help guide the dinghy. Every day, your boat crew forms up on the beach and is instructed to get through the surf zone and paddle several miles down the coast. In the winter, the surf off San Diego can get to be 8 to 10 feet high, and it is exceedingly difficult to paddle through the plunging surf unless everyone digs in. Every paddle must be synchronized to the stroke count of the coxswain. Everyone must exert equal effort, or the boat will turn against the wave and be unceremoniously dumped back on the beach. For the boat to make it to its destination, everyone must paddle. You can't change the world alone. You will need some help. And to truly get from your starting point to your destination takes friends, colleagues, the goodwill of strangers, and a strong coxswain to guide you. If you want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Karis Project podcast. We're back again with Jessica Saxton, and we're going to talk about some of the service that she did on the petitions and what's going on with her. So you want to reintroduce yourself again to our audience.
Hi. So my name is Jessica Saxton. I'm a civil rights advocate nationally now. And first and foremost, I'm a mom. Lost my children about a year and a couple months ago. And that sent me down this path of exposure, really. So we started Justice Without Limits. And from that, we have gone from advocacy to education to now investigations. And we are traveling this country trying to expose every public official that we possibly can.
And exposure is definitely what needs to be done, because I mean, there is a lot of, criminals going on, like crimes going on inside of the judicial system, inside of the legislative branch, the everywhere. And so you want to talk a little bit about the investigative side of what you do, so people can kind of hear kind of what you do in the background, because they see you in the serving stuff, but what else do you do?
Yeah, sure. So publicly, when I go to a county commission meeting, a lot of the meetings that we go to, I have already previously investigated that county, at least to some degree. And so whether that is through the people that have come into our groups and they are providing their court records, their CPS records, some of the guardian ad litem records. So we have people that are bringing us information so that we know when we go to that county that those individuals in that county are compromised. They have acted criminally against the families. As far as the investigation side, there's some things that I can't really talk about right now, but I'm going to give you kind of a general overview of what we're looking for and what we're doing as far as boots on the ground operation. So first of all of this is OSINT. That's open source information, open source intelligence. So if I can find it, you can find it, because I'm not a private investigator. There's different things and different ways people can go about finding information that is publicly available, whether that be through FOIA request or in the respective states, you will have some type of a public record request. So these are the type of things that we are requesting. Some of that is, hey, this particular agency in this county, how much funding have you received through Title 4D? What about the courts? What about the county commissioners and their budgets? When you look at the county commission's budget, for instance, let me say, in one county that we're investigating, this county said that they had given or budgeted thousands of dollars worth of canine training for this one county, right? Well, when you call up there to the sheriff's department, they don't have any canines. Why are they spending thousands of dollars for canine training when they have no dogs?
Oh, yes.
That type of thing.
You know what's funny?
So
one of the people who signed the petition actually ran for county commissioner.
I did not know that.
Oh yes, Marissa in Minnesota, in Hennepin County.
Okay.
And now Yes, and now she had criminal charges. And yeah, because Minnesota's like full of fraud, and the county commissioner can seriously restrict the purse strings, right?
I know.
So
that's what we keep saying. We're like, you know what? If the county commissioners know that these crimes are happening and they do nothing about it, they continue to pay these people to commit these crimes, that's a big freaking deal, And it's like, some of this is also when I said that, JWL, Justice Without Limits, we advocate, educate, investigate. So when we're educating people, I'm not necessarily just talking about the families that we're working with or some of the people who are facing criminal charges. I'm talking about the county commissioners. We're educating all of them. For instance, when I served Blount County, Tennessee, which is 30 minutes south of Knoxville. When I served that county, well, actually, I didn't technically serve. I did, but it's a long story. Anyway, when I went to their county commission meeting, do you know that not one of those county commissioners knew that one of their juvenile magistrates had been fired because she was harboring her son who was involved in child pornography.
What?
And she aided and abetting in the cover up and the destruction of some of this information. And yeah, this was a juvenile magistrate in the juvenile court in Blount County, Tennessee. So got word back a couple days ago that the county commissioners didn't even know that this was a thing until we showed up as a group. That's why it's so important to me to keep the county commission meetings going, because that is an integral part of our investigations in these counties.
Oh yes, because these guys need to be held accountable. What people don't realize is that every level of government is involved in corruption. Every level. And they try to control it, and what people don't realize, every area has basically a criminal cartel, and it's involving the government. And when you have government positions, and in Canada they actually talked about this, our intelligence service said that basically organized crime was moving into the government, and they said this years ago, and nobody did anything. But it's just worse, and you're seeing the same thing happening. And so when you have a small town, the county commissioner, the county seat, and they're going to be controlling everything that goes on in there. So if you control that, then you control that. You keep the sheriff on check, and then you can do whatever you want in every county.
Yeah, absolutely. Beaufort County, North Carolina is another hotspot right
Where?
now. CPS, Beaufort County, North Carolina. It's on the east coast. Those jokers have lost 2 children. And these were children. I've done an extensive amount of research into these 2 families. DSS is what Child Protective Services goes by in North Carolina. So DSS, Department of Social Services, they have removed 2 children. Actually, I take it back. It's 7 plus 2, so 10 children from 2 families. Out of these 2 families, one of these children, 2 children have been removed and are gone missing. They're missing. And
What do you mean?
like,
What do you mean?
what is the deal here?
What do you mean lost children?
They're losing children, or are they? Are they losing children?
But I mean, like,
These children,
how do you lose a child? Like, how do you lose a child?
no. And listen, one of these children, and I love the mother, and I think that she would be okay with me saying this, but her child was a little bit overweight. You know, and he wasn't a young child. I think he was 15 when he was reported missing, if I'm correct about that. But how do you lose a 15-year-old child that is overweight? You don't. You know, I mean, what are they doing with these children? This other child.
Wait a second. What happened to the kid? Because this 15-year-old kid normally has a phone, knows how to call for help. What happened?
They took them. They took the phones. So Beaufort County, North Carolina is a freaking hotspot. We have so much evidence on all of these people. The sheriff, can't wait to release the evidence about that. The sheriff, Lori Leggett, some of the other CPS workers, freaking Samantha Keach, all of these people think that we're just talking out our, you know what?
Yes.
We're not, because we've already gotten the evidence against these people. We are waiting for one thing to happen before we have a playbook from a 3-letter agency in order to go after all of these counties nationwide. They're all going to go down. In Knoxville, when they just, TBI arrested 11 individuals that were associated with the sheriff's department in Knoxville, Tennessee. 2 of those individuals were running for sheriff recently, and they've arrested them on multiple charges. These people are not immune. This is part of the education process. Go ahead.
They should not be immune, because a lot of people think that government officials don't get prosecuted, but they do, and they should be, because if you're doing this kind of stuff and you violate the rights of the people, you should be arrested. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts.
So civil immunity is a thing. When people say that, well, judges are immune, yeah, judges are immune from lawsuits, because everybody that walks out of their court, most of the time, people that walk out of court are not happy, right? Nobody likes to go to court. So judges are immune from civil lawsuits, and I guess to some degree that is probably necessary so that we're not backing up the system with frivolous civil rights lawsuits. but they are not immune from criminal liability. They can be arrested just like the rest of us, and they should be. That's the thing. And so JWL and Justice Without Limits is focused. Like we are honed in on getting these judges indicted and arrested and then put them through trial for crimes against our families. In particular and specifically with 18 USC 241, that is conspiracy to deprive of rights, and 242, that is the deprivation of rights under the color of law, and kidnapping. And kidnapping is where one of the penalties is capital punishment. If you deprive us of our rights as an official,
Yes.
under the color of law, and kidnapping is involved in that while depriving us of our rights, which all of us have had our children kidnapped through the system, the punishment for that is death.
Yes, or if somebody loses their life, which it's happened, that you get that death, you get the death penalty. And I agree with that. I have no problem with that. I think the judges should have enhanced penalties. Judges are only supposed to have protection in this case from their decisions when people can see that they made the right decision based on the facts and the law, right? That is what is protected.
Absolutely.
But this whole idea of judicial immunity, it doesn't exist. It's only a doctrine because it would never stand up to a constitutional challenge. They can't put it anywhere legally on paper because it wouldn't survive, right? But they do this to protect themselves, and then the judges are policing themselves and enforcing it, and they'll just be like, oh no, well, he has immunity, they have immunity, we can't do anything too bad. That's not the way it works. You're subject, because if you take any place that and make it not subject to the criminal law, organized crime will flourish in that place.
Absolutely. We're seeing it all over this country. And the problem, another problem, not the problem, but another problem is that the people of the United States, we have nowhere to go. Where are we going to go? You have a judge, then you have a clerk that's covering for the judge and vice versa. Then you have a sheriff who's covering for the DA. Then you have the DA who's covering for the judge. We have nowhere to go. We literally have a government that's gone rogue at this point. Like our government has gone rogue against the people. And what does the Declaration of Independence say?
Yes.
I mean, what does it say? You know, we not only have a right, but it is our duty to put our government back into check. And I think that as much as possible, we are doing that through this investigative process. Because here's the thing, if we have like all of the work that you've done through the Karis project, for one, it is amazing. And I was utterly impressed. And that doesn't happen often, because the way that you put all of that together, I was just shocked once I actually took time to look at it. But how you meticulously put all of this information together, and you found the worst of the worst cases. And now we're going around the country serving these people all the way up to the highest federal Congress. How can these people ever deny that this evidence does not exist? They can't.
No.
And that's what we were talking about with some of these encrypted servers, because they're going to try to start covering this stuff up. And we're seeing this in several of these counties. People are trying to go to the court and get their record, and the record is just gone because they know that we're coming. They know that we're asking for this stuff. So part of the education process with the families, we're encouraging all of our families to get your records. We're almost entering into, when you're in the South and there's a snowstorm that's coming and everybody goes and gets their bread and milk, you need to go to the store and get your freaking court records, because they're going to start destroying these. We're seeing it over and over and over again. I'm serious.
No,
it doesn't snow.
You know what the funny thing is? I went to school in Alabama for a year, and I went to Winnipeg during the Christmas break, and I came back, and it was snowing, and when I was going through Tennessee and into northern Alabama, and I'm strolling out in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt because it's just above freezing, but it's still snowing, and everyone's out in a parka, and they're looking at me like I walked off a ship from Mars. But I'm like, dude, I'm from Canada. This is like summer. I left, it was minus 40, so. This is warm. Yeah, so I understand when you said about it snowing in the South. Just Yeah.
Look, I get a beanie and a scarf when it's like 58 degrees out. 'Cause it's a true story. I was born in the South, and so
Yes.
just, and it's the greatest thing, because when you have like a half an inch of snow, everything's closed for 2 days.
Yes.
You'll never go back to work or school. It's great.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, we had to dig our way out of our house to go to school. Sometimes the snowstorms were that bad, and they didn't close the schools. Only once do I remember ever having the school closed down, and that was because, there were snowdrifts up to the gymnasium roof. So they were just like, yeah, we can't do this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but okay, so in the South, the southern states right now are proving to be some of the worst for trafficking through the system. I initially started a survey back in October after I served Maricopa County, Arizona. That video blew up. I had like 5 million views over one weekend, and it's just continued to fly. That was kind of the onset of me going public and actually, having Justice Without Limits as far as a recognizable advocacy group. Since that time, we had this survey that has been kind of off and on. I'll turn it off so that I can collect the data and keep up with the hotspots across the country, and then I'll reopen it once I need some more information about a specific state or location. So for instance, after I posted the video of the Karis report that we served, I opened that survey back up to Minnesota so that we can start gathering more information out there. Because one of the things that we've got to start focusing on is the hotspots. I think if we can get a few of these counties and these states to fall, like in Knoxville, 11 people are arrested, people that were associated with the sheriff's department, that type of thing. I guarantee right now that the sheriff's department that's 30 minutes south of Knoxville, they're probably wondering who's next.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's really, really close to home in where we've been working. So, so some of this stuff is a little bit more focused in the southern states because out of all of my surveys, they have proven to be time and time again the worst for child trafficking through the system. The number one state right now, as far as my numbers is concerned, is West Virginia. West Virginia is the worst state. And I think that comes down to socioeconomic status. Most people in West Virginia are poor. They have no money to fight the system. They also are the lowest as far as education in the country. So they have no way to learn. A lot of them don't even have internet. So the state is literally coming in like the freaking Gestapo, and they're taking these children and they're putting them into foster care or some type of guardianship so the state can make money off of those children instead of the parents. Well, it's disgusting. We're about to stop it.
You sit down and think about it. The South is the poorest section of the United States. Like, you got the poorest states in the South, right? You look at Mississippi, right? And you look at some of the other places, and you look in, I went through, when I was going to school in Alabama, and I went through some of these places. I could not believe that at the end of the 20th century, that there was like people living in shacks and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, wow, this is crazy. But you have very rich and very poor. But when you look at it, you think of it from a logistical standpoint as well. You get a lot of illegal immigrants flooding across the southern border. They come into Texas. They're gonna travel along those interstates through the South, right? And then they're gonna go up to the eastern seaboard to places like New York, which is a very big destination for where they have trafficking. New York State, right? And just like California, the West Coast is a big pipeline, and then you have places going across and going to major centers like Chicago. You go ahead and look at all the major interstates that go through cities, and you're looking at trafficking pipelines. And that's exactly how they move these people.
A lot of people need to start looking into what counties are neighboring some of the native lands or some of the national parks, because there's a lot of, I would say, relativity to our hotspots and some of these counties that neighbor our federal lands and our national parks. Trafficking through our parks.
I'll give you a statistic. Here in Canada, and it's very similar in the United States, I talked to Tara Rodas and a lot of other DHS whistleblowers when it comes to trafficking. Okay, in Canada, the Indigenous make up just under 5%, let's say 5% of the population, we're going to round up. But they make up 50% of the women trafficked in all of Canada, and 51% of the children trafficked in all of Canada. So their trafficking rate is through the roof, right? And in the States, they're trafficked at 10 times the rate of the rest of the Americans. And if you start adjusting for it, because black people are trafficked at higher rates than most other people, but then if you look at the rest of the rates for everyone else, it becomes higher when you start separating, because if you lump them all together, everybody together, 10 times the higher rate, but some groups are higher than others, and it changes based on race and socioeconomic status. But natives, by far, and the money they get, especially in the CPS system, they get way more money when there's a native child. Way more money. It's not even close. Oh my goodness, it's disgusting. Even if you don't have the actual official title, if they know your lineage, they will still get money for it.
So when I was in South Dakota, I went to a AA meeting just to recruit, really, and just tell people what we were doing, and which are really good ways to introduce yourself into a community of individuals who have already been marginalized by the system in many, many cases. But I was at this AA meeting, and there was a guy there. He was talking about how he was Native, and he gave me his aunt's phone number, and she is up there fighting CPS. And I mean, he said that they've taken like 20 children at the time. That was last year. I should contact her again, but he said that they had taken 20 Native children in like the last 6 weeks, right off of their native lands. And I'm like, how is CPS coming onto your native land? I mean, I was always thinking that the native lands were protected. As a matter of fact, I was thinking that if I ever needed a place to go, I'm going to a freaking native land. But it sounds like that's not you're not safe in America anymore.
The jurisdiction is different for the native lands in Canada and the United States. In Canada, the federal agencies, they just can't walk onto the reserves. They can't. But then the natives don't actually even own the land. The federal government does. It's a different ball of wax. It created the system of dependency and slavery, and this is why they're trafficked like crazy, because they keep them in poverty based on the way they structure the system. But in the United States, federal agencies can go on at will. And in fact, DHS goes on and they take natives and they traffic them. They go into the reserves and they take them and they traffic them. This is why a lot of people, they don't trust anybody, because most of the people they see coming in there from the government comes in and steals their kids and the women, right? And then especially across like the southern border, they'll throw them across the border and get them shipped off to God knows where.
I mean, we have a child in Texas that was removed from his mother. Nobody really knows why. And he's getting ready to be shipped off to Africa. And so now I think we're entering into, they're almost having to tell us what they're doing so it doesn't look quite as shady, but they're telling her that they're shipping him off to Africa to be adopted. I mean,
that's 100% trafficking.
Yeah, she shouldn't have she should have never lost her child, but it is trafficking. And my question is, at what point do we, the people, actually stand up? And look, I'm not talking about we all get our guns and we do all the things and whatever. Right now, we're having a hard time just getting people to show up at a freaking county commissioner meeting. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you know what? Why don't you, instead of sitting on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok and Twitter, and instead of telling everybody else how to do it, why don't you go do something? Like just go do something. Go pick it outside, even one person. We have a lady in Arkansas. Her name is Audrey. Oh shoot, Buchanan. Miss Buchanan is how I remember her. She goes and she pickets outside at the highest trafficked road in her city, and she stands there with her sign. But do you know how many people she's educating? I can tell you this, a lot more than the person that's not doing it. You know, we've got to start educating our neighbors that literally within one day, one false accusation from a social worker at a school and a pre-filled judge's order, you can drop your child off at school and literally never see your child again until they're 18. people don't understand that this is happening in America, but it's happening every day. It happened today.
Yes, and why I am extremely livid. I understand because they took my daughter, oldest daughter, like when I was 23 years old. Like, I mean, just still wet behind the ears, and I was just like, what? And then I lost all parental rights, and then I was just like, no, man, and it broke me. Like, that's one of the worst things anybody can go through. But then, when we were going through there, I had a lawyer, and he was an idiot, right? He's like, you're going to lose. And I was like, what? What am I paying you for? Like, you're supposed to do your job. And I remember in court, and they were going to send my daughter to live with her maternal grandmother while the court case was going on. And I was just like over my dead body. And I went and read the whole Child and Family Services Act, took everything that I was documenting. And I have it actually in the petition where I put the letters that I sent out. And from that, they were like, no, give him the kid back. And I went to the elected officials, the media, and a whole bunch of people all in one day. And they backed away. Mm-hmm. And then, but it was worse. It wasn't just a one-off thing. It was a big problem. And when he began to look at it, this is why I'm like, I'm not going to stop until these guys are put away, because they can't do this anymore. This is child trafficking, and our tax dollars are paying for it. Why are we paying for this?
Yeah, 100%. And here's the thing. I think people, to some degree, they justify that it's okay that these children are in foster care as long as they're not abused. That's bullshit. Because if you have a child that is being taken away from perfectly good parents, healthy parents, loving parents, parents that were there, some parents that were overly protective. For a lot of people, that's an issue, but that's not a crime. All right. And so these people that are like, oh, well, as long as they're not being abused in foster care, I'm going to say, no, they're still being abused. You may not be able to see the abuse, but they're still being abused because their personality now has to be split because they have been pulled away from a parent that they were bonded with and placed with people that they don't really know. And I can guarantee you the statistics show that children that are pulled away from their parents in the manner that they're doing this, they will have a higher likelihood of being molested, of being abused. Their suicide rate is through the roof when they hit to be a teenager. And the likelihood of them being on drugs skyrockets. And it was interesting, talking about West Virginia earlier, they actually had an audit with CPS, and CPS admitted on their own audit that 98% of the children who were removed should have never even been investigated. So they went through an investigation process, according to CPS, that should have never even. So again, that's very consistent across the country with multiple data points, multiple studies showing that only 2% of the children that are removed and placed into foster care were actually abused, neglected, or in danger. That's a big freaking problem.
Yes.
That's how they're trafficking our children.
And in Canada, we have a term for that, and it's a criminal term. It's called facilitating exploitation. So if you do something that you foreseeably know is going to increase the chances of a child or somebody being exploited, you're done, right? And so you can't do things. And when you put kids in care that don't need it, that isn't like, and the threshold has to be very, very high, you're going to increase the chances that they're sexually abused, that they're going to be trafficked, they're going to be exploited financially. All these things go off the charts that you're going to increase. You can't do this knowingly and be like, oh, no, sorry. No, that's not the way it works. That's called accountability, because if somebody started to take kids out of their homes and do that, you see how quickly they'll end in prison.
Right. I know. So, it's really bad. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I just needed to take a short break here, and then we'll come back and continue the conversation, and then I'll play the clip of you serving the guy, and we'll talk about it. So I'll be right back.
Hello friends, my name is Keisha, and I'm a proud member of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. And I'm also a survivor of human trafficking. My trafficking began in Saskatchewan, moved into Alberta, and even crossed into the United States. I was stalked, hunted, and ignored by the very systems over the last 5 years that were meant to protect me. This is why, with my father Dale Richardson, we started the Karis Project. This is an Indigenous, survivor-led movement for humanity dedicated to exposing trafficking, government corruption, and holding institutions accountable. One of the most powerful tools that we are using is the petitions for redress of grievances. These are lawful constitutional actions rooted in Canadian and US law, and in treaties that tie us together across provinces, across states, and even across borders. These petitions are precedent-setting. They create a binding record. They demand accountability while representing reconciliation in action. Indigenous and non-Indigenous people working side by side to preserve liberty for all. But we cannot do this alone. We need your help to keep this movement alive, to raise awareness and to build a legacy of justice for Indigenous women, for trafficking survivors, and for families everywhere. Thank you. Please stand with us. Your support makes this work possible. Together we can restore justice, heal families, and defend freedom. And I will close with my favorite quote. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who cannot be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. And men who will stand for the right, though the heavens may fall. Thank you.
So yes, for anybody who wants to support the fight against the human trafficking and holding the government accountable, you saw the QR codes, or you can go to mypillow.com/Karis and get yourself a pillow and some other good stuff from there. Or you can, if you're watching on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Vocal, you'll see the links in the description. They have got lots of products. We've got merchandise, hoodies like the one I'm wearing, and t-shirts and so forth. So find a way to support if you can, and please share the videos and so forth so people can learn the information, which is most important. All right, back to what we were saying about the CPS.
Yes. So CPS right now is absolutely trafficking children. As a matter of fact, there were a couple dozen. I forgot to tell you this also. There were at least a dozen CPS workers in Monroe County, Tennessee, that was recently arrested for trafficking. Did you hear about that?
No.
I'm telling you, man, the dominoes are starting to fall. This is why I'm getting so excited about this stuff, because all of the work that these people have been doing. Yes, there are some advocates like myself that for whatever reason are kind of like the face and on the front lines like you. There's some other ones, but we have had people that have been fighting this for decades. And I don't want to forget about those people because they set the foundation for this stuff. They have been fighting for this for years, and we're finally starting to see some of these dominoes fall. And I guarantee you that by the end of this year, we're going to see a lot more. This is just starting. The tidal wave is like coming in. And I'm telling people,
it's about time.
Running. Go to your court and get your records before they frickin' destroy the things that are going to incriminate them. You've got to go get your records. You got to secure the records, and don't just secure them. Listen, everybody, don't just secure them in one place. You need multiple records on multiple flash drives in multiple places. Keep one at your mom's or at a friend's house or in a mini store somewhere. Keep them separate.
And if you can,
keep them digital.
Print them. I have a ton of printed material as well. Because
print them. I mean, I travel around with all of my court records just because I don't trust anybody else to have them. But I have other.
I get you. I understand.
I have so many crimes documented just in my own personal case in the frickin' the van. I mean, it's just it's crazy. But this is the extent, and it's so important because even if, let's just say that some people don't think that their case matters. Maybe you think that you're never going to get your children back. First of all, I want to say that's some stinking thinking, and you never need to get that out of your mind. Because here's the thing: if we can prove that order that they created that to unlawfully remove your child was void from the very beginning, we think we're going to fight to try to get your children back. And we're not going to stop, because a void order can never become valid over time. And that means that judge acted criminally against you and your family. That's the deprivation of rights under the color of law, and that's kidnapping, and that's conspiring to kidnap while they deprive you of your rights. That's a capital punishment for these crimes and all of these people. Now, when I say that, I don't want you to think that I'm overly zealous for capital punishment, because I am actually anti-death penalty now. I wasn't a long time ago, but now I am. The reason is because I have seen so many people that are charged with crimes that they are factually innocent. They're factually innocent. We have people that are being executed and they're factually innocent, and the state isn't going to reverse it. As a matter of fact, that just happened in Alabama not that long ago. And so they killed an innocent man. Why isn't the governor of Alabama being held for murder when she knew that these people were factually innocent, but she continued with the execution anyway? So we have to be very, very careful. And I don't want to give the impression that I'm pro-death penalty or pro-capital punishment, but I can tell you, these judges that have ignored sexual abuse, ignored satanic ritual abuse, ignored all of the signs that children were being molested wherever they were in life, that's a deprivation of these children's rights.
I'm going to tell.
Hold on, let me finish this.
Go ahead.
To the fullest extent of the law, these judges need to be held accountable, whatever that looks like.
I'm going to tell you now. Okay, if two adults and there's like a rape, you have to find out. You have to have due process to find out what happens. You catch somebody on a kid, there's no excuse. Kid can't consent. You're done. And if you're going to do that kind of filth, I'm sorry. You need to die. You need to get executed. You need to be tried and executed. If you're going to be raping kids like the way people are doing stuff like this, there's no fixing you. And I'm sorry. Who should pay for you if you're going to be going out and doing this? And the people that protect them, you need the same punishment. Because, I agree with the Bible says. You do that kind of filth, they said stone you. If you saw it and you did nothing, you got stoned too, because you let it happen. Because when people are doing filth to kids...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's a huge part of this too, because you have all of these people, like you have the bailiffs. The bailiffs are in the court watching these judges every single day. They are actually there listening to all of our cases, but yet they do nothing. They actually have a duty to report these crimes. And here's another thing. Everybody, at least in the state of Tennessee, every adult is a mandated reporter. Every time those bailiffs, and I know this is a little bit out there, right? But if you look at the law and it is applied equally, every single time there is some type of presentation in court where there was child sexual abuse or molestation, those bailiffs have a duty to report. You don't ever see that. So does the clerk. So does the judge. So does the judge. Hell, so does the opposing attorney. Where are they? And you know that magistrate that I was talking about before? So the most interesting part about her case, which we're about to send it, if you know what I'm saying. We're about to send some stuff out into the public domain to let the public judge. But they charged her with failure to report regarding her son, because she knew that her son apparently was something about how she was tipped off that she had a warrant for her arrest because her son had been living in her basement, like good parents who have raised really good children, they all live in the basement and create child pornography. So this magistrate in juvenile court, she aided and abetted in this, but they only charged her with failure to report. That was the only thing that they charged her with, was failure to report that her son had child pornography. And we're not talking about child pornography that he solicited off the internet. We're talking about child porn that he made with a minor, molesting her. Another thing was that the girlfriend of the son, she never faced any charges, to my knowledge, not that I could find. So to the best of my knowledge, she never faced any charges. I think that they didn't get her because she was the one that came forward and said, hey, my boyfriend actually molested a little kid and recorded it and kept that child pornography for his own sexual gratification at a later date. So she was never charged. But this is the type of thing that I'm like, why is this judge on 1 year probation? She's on 1 year probation. She was in jail for like a couple hours and she was let free. They gave a judicial diversion for her, saying that it would be more detrimental for her to be in prison than for her to be out in society. If you go to justicewithoutlimits.org/Tennessee, or just go to the drop-down menu and then go to Tennessee, you'll see all of the people who signed. There was like 25 people who signed a character witness letter, wrote a beautiful character witness letter for this judge who hid and aided and abetting in child pornography and of her son. It's just insane. These were doctors, psychologists, nurses, nurse practitioners, pastors, youth pastors. Freaking nuts, man.
I believe it. I mean, here you have the government here protecting the licenses of pediatricians that are pedophiles and convicted ones. And then they leave from one province here in Alberta and go to BC, and then they go and they hire them over there, and they're giving access. Like, so you go to take your kid to a doctor, you don't know if that doctor's a pedophile. Like,
Yeah.
who? What? No, and there's another woman here. Oh my Lord! Her husband, ex-husband, worked at the Alberta Health Services, and he had a server of child pornography and was distributing it. Not in jail. He's still working. And then they gave the kids, and he was molesting the kids. People were coming there molesting the kids and they're keeping the kids with the pedophile and keeping it away from the mother. Mother's like lost everything, her house and everything, trying to get her kids, and they're protecting the pedophiles.
Of course. I mean, one of the things that has been really interesting to me is that this isn't only happening here. It is literally everywhere. I have people contacting me from all over the world. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, this stuff would happen like in the Middle East. You know, that's because in my mind, they don't have a bunch of morals over there. And it's so wrong for us to all think that now. And I'm sorry that I thought that, but Australia, Sweden, the Netherlands, England, Canada, South America, it literally is happening everywhere, but we're not focusing. Well, we're understanding that this is our governments. Our governments are doing this. In my mind, 2 years ago, I was thinking that a trafficker is going to be, dressed in black and he snatches a kid out. And I know that kidnapping still happens, but snatches a kid, throws him in the back of a van or a bus somewhere, and then they're off. That's not what is happening.
No.
They are the Gestapo coming in, taking our children, ripping them away from our parents. This is literally Nazi Germany all over again.
It never was the norm. Never was going and stealing a kid the norm. It was never. It is the most riskiest way, the easiest way to get caught, and people are going to go and look for that kid like crazy. That might work in like places like Mexico where you just have the cartels running things and the guys with guns show up and just take your kid, and too bad for you. There's nothing you can do because the government's bought and paid for or afraid of them. But here, that was never the norm. Yeah, they had some desperate, sick people that did that, but most of the time, that's not the way it worked.
Right.
Hollywood. Hollywood. That's why people thought
absolutely. that. And then when you consider the aiding and abetting through the attorneys, and the attorneys are, somehow they're protected through the bar and all of this BS. And then you have teachers, you have doctors, you have all of these people, and somehow they've been so indoctrinated in this system. And you know what it is? I don't even know if it's so much indoctrination as much as it is the paycheck. These people are not going to stand up for what's right if it threatens their freaking paycheck. To some degree, I get it. But when you start throwing your children, I want to look at these people and I want to be like, you know what? That's a great idea. Let's swap kids for a second and see how much your paycheck actually matters. Because I guarantee you're not going to give a damn about that next paycheck when they're knocking at your door, getting ready to take your children.
Yeah, that's exactly it. People don't care until it happens to them, and that's the problem. People are just they don't think. They're like, oh, if I just do this and that and duck my head, it's not going to happen to me. I'm like, if they can just recklessly take anybody's kids, it's only a matter of time until they come and take yours. Like, I mean, it's just the way it is. You can't allow this kind of stuff to happen, and we have to change our society altogether. And our elected officials, like you said, they're involved. And let's actually pull up the clip of you serving the guy, because people need to see what the reaction was when you're coming in and bringing something like this in.
Just 1 second. I feel like this is one of my pay grade. Let me just talk to my boss before I.
Hi, very good. This is a petition for Redress of Grievances to the United States Congress. We need to deliver this to you guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it has
Let me just chat with my boss about this. Okay, I'll be right back.
Who's your boss?
My boss? Just a director.
What's his name? Her name?
Her name is Katie. I'll be right back.
I have no idea what's going on.
Hi. So, I would recommend you schedule an appointment and continue this from there.
Sure.
I can't really accept things right now.
But you can. And this has over 3,000 pages worth of evidence on this flash drive.
So also, in a flash drive, there's like house rules based on like external storage devices being plugged in.
But that's up to you guys whether you plug it or not. You're going to have evidence on here. I would never compromise my legal status as far as trying to put something on here. So what you guys do with this evidence is completely up to you.
I'm going to just say where he went wrong. First of all, they're not supposed to not let you in that office. I don't give a damn what they say. They're a public servant. They're supposed to be transparent. You have a right to instruct your government, and you have a right to talk to your government and have access to your government. So him saying you can't come in, wrong. When it comes to a petition for redress of grievances, oh, we can't accept that, wrong. That's the Constitution. That's your job description. You don't have a choice in the matter. And what he did was wrong. 100% wrong. And people need to start following up with him and start asking about it, because they got to process it. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. That video was actually 11 minutes long. And we had Johnny Wicks, he was the videographer that day. We also had Melissa Vagley and Alicia Curl. They were both there as witnesses as well. So I think just a little bit, it was intimidating just having us there, and then you have the video and all this stuff, but they should be welcoming us. Oh, you have a concern? What's going on? You know, I got my last fancy paycheck last week. I might want to listen to my constituents. It's unbelievable to see the response of these people. And another thing that I've been noticing, Dale, is that they're increasing security in these places. I don't know
Yes.
if you've noticed that or been keeping up with the news. They're asking for a larger budget to increase security to these places. I'm like, you know what? If you're doing your job and you're doing it the right way, you wouldn't need security. As a matter of fact, we would provide security for you guys as the citizens of the United States if you're doing your job, but you're not. That's the problem.
They wouldn't need security if they were doing their job. That's the whole point,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
When Ann Vandersteel and Maureen Steele, they did a documentary a couple of years ago about a petition that went to the state of Texas on a state level. And they were able to just waltz into the state house when they did that. A few months later, we went to the legislative assembly here in Alberta. We did not make it in the door. They wanted to arrest us. They had the sheriffs there and everything else like that. And the dude that was the head of security, he called the sergeant at arms. And then the sergeant at arms came, and I'm like, oh, you can accept service of this? He's like, no, I can't. I said, yes, you can, because you report to the Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
Too bad. You're taking it. And we had everybody had cameras out, and he took it, but they still didn't do anything with it. But that's the whole point. Like, we couldn't even get in the door, and they were trying to arrest us. And this was a couple years ago, and now it's getting worse. But you're looking at
Right.
the way that if there was no issue, and they didn't have anything to worry about, they wouldn't want to come in and take that information. They wouldn't care. but it's because they're wrong and they know it.
Yeah, on that video, he said, and I'm sorry that the audio was so bad, I forgot to wear a mic, but I won't forget next time. But when I took the flash drive out and was putting it into the folder, he was like, "Oh, we can't take that. We won't be able to plug that in to our computer." And I'm like, "That's okay. It's still there. We're still going to serve you with this evidence. You can plug it in or not." But if we were, let's say, someone that wanted to donate $50,000 to a political campaign coming up, but all the information was on that flash drive, I guarantee that's going to be plugged into their computer before we walk out of the whole, premises, I mean, all of these gatekeepers and stuff, they are the most cowardice little peons that I have ever run into. They're just like roaches, and they're there to impede. That's what they're doing, is that they're impeding on us being able to petition our government for a redress of grievance, which is our First Amendment right. Actually, it's a freedom. When you read the Constitution, you look at the First Amendment, it is written very different from all of the other amendments, and it starts out with freedom of. Freedom of. Like the Second Amendment doesn't say that we have the freedom of carrying a firearm. It says we have the right to bear arms. That First Amendment is so paramount. The other ones are important, but that First Amendment is so paramount to all of the things we are doing nationwide. And if you have, for your listeners, please, I am begging you, if you don't want to do anything else, go to your local library or order one of the it's like a little baby, I call it my baby Constitution. And I protect this thing almost as much as I protect my Bible. But I carry it around with me everywhere I go, and I have almost memorized Amendments 1 through 14. But just read it before you get ready to go to bed, or read it in the morning, because these rights are so important. The freedoms and rights within the Constitution are so important for you to know, and not be able to know because you looked it up on Google. Know them. Be able to be like, "No, I'm sorry. I'm going to bring my recorder into this court hearing because it's my Second Amendment right. It's my Second Amendment right to bear arms." Didn't say it was my Second Amendment right to bear a gun that shoots a bullet or has black powder. That's not what it says. It says I have a right to bear arms. And our Supreme Court, they have ruled time and time again that our Constitution evolves with technology. That is well known across here in America. And so if that is true to the Supreme Court, then you would also say that our right to bear arms in court and protect ourselves against a tyrannical government would be that we can record these proceedings. The reason why they don't want us to record these proceedings is because they are covering up crimes. They're committing those crimes. Whenever we ask for an audio recording, or we ask, I can't pay for a transcript, but yet my judge is saying, "Oh no, you got to order a transcript." Well, the last transcript was $900. I don't have $900 to pay for that. So now they're separating me from having an actual legitimate appeal because I cannot pay.
Yes, they're using a financial barrier to take away your rights and just saying, well, you have the option, you just have to pay for it. But it's like, I'm broke, and you know it.
Yeah. And because you're broke, you don't actually have a fair trial because you can't pay for. And in many cases, like in my own case, the court is holding $110,000 of half of it's mine, and they won't give it to me. They literally have stolen it. I mean, it's so clear, it's black and white, but they don't care. So that's why, from my vision and my perspective, as far as a fight, this is our battle, and this is how we do it. And the most beautiful thing about it is we do it legally and lawfully, so that nobody gets hurt, nobody gets killed, and they don't have anything to throw back in our face. So our evidence is going to be the weapon that we use against them. That's it.
Yes.
One piece of evidence isn't going to do it. It's like shooting one bullet into a freaking, combat zone. It's not going to do it. That's why your Karis report was so impressive. I was so I thanked God for you, Dale, honestly, because, geez, I never cried. Jess doesn't cry, especially not on camera. But I thanked God for you and all of the work that you put in, and I'm sorry that I hadn't actually taken time to actually really look into what you had. But it was unbelievable, the amount of work and the stuff that you're doing. And the fact that the evidence that you had in there, and I'm not going to talk about it, but the evidence that you had in here, it just proved that the things that well, for one, we're working very parallel here, but we've got to come together as a society, as a civilization of people, come together, bring all this. If we got to come in and bring it in by the truckloads, let's freaking do it. Yeah, I don't care how we do it. Let's just freaking get it done, because like in Tennessee, dominoes are starting to fall. Monroe County, Knox County, they're coming in. They're coming in with indictments. It's time to freaking go.
Yes, and I'm going to go and circle back to the Constitution, because people don't understand the First Amendment, and they really need to understand, because what they put in that First Amendment are the things that are critical for you to have a functioning society. Right in there, the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, these are things that you need, because without civil and religious liberty, you've got nothing. You've got tyranny, right? And then if you go back to the Declaration of Independence, the last thing they said before they said, well, this is all bets are off, was like, our humble petitions were met with repeated injury. And because when the judicial system, everything broke down, they petitioned their government for redress of grievances, and they got nothing. And that's why they had to pen the Declaration of Independence. So when you look at the order, you look at the things that are there, and then it says you have the right to petition your government for redress of grievances, and then it goes to the second man, you have the right to bear arms, because in case they want to violate the first, you got the second to protect yourself from tyranny, because they wanted you to, this is why they codified the petition, so that they would try to not have to go to bloodshed, but if it went too far, then you had the ability to defend yourself. So people have to start thinking and understanding why they did what they did. And then you have to exercise those things, because right now, like I was talking to Apollo, I was on Tina Peters' show the other day, and I said, if you're not going to have courage to pick up a piece of paper, you're not going to have courage to pick up arms when they come for you, right? 100%. So you better do it now, because if you're a coward, pick up the paper, because that's a lot easier than when they sit there and come and take you out.
Exactly. And don't expect other people to do it. That's I think we have this kind of like this apathy issue going on here, where everybody thinks, oh, someone else is going to take care of it, or other people are going to show up in court watch for other people, or everybody else is going to show up to the county commission meeting. No, get that out of your head. You have to be the change. You have to be the one that actually shows up and does it. And I mean, we all relied on everybody else. None of this would get done. None of it. So let's go. Let's march. I'm ready to freaking march. I'm so excited about these indictments that are coming down in East Tennessee right now. This is a really good sign, Dale.
Yes.
Stoked.
We need to just keep put the pedal to the floor. That's really what needs to happen. No more slowing down, because we have to just, there's nothing else. What are we going to do? Let them get away? No, you're going down, and we're going to make sure you go down, right? Like, push their head under the water and keep it there, because they don't need to come up for air, because if they do, they're going to come up and they're going to harm more people. And it's time for them to get what's coming to them. This is what I was putting here together. This is why I've been attacked so much over the years, because I knew what to do, and I got something so that I knew that what these people were doing. I'll tell you right now, they have a crew of INTJs, very intelligent INTJs that are working on the other side, directing them to do what they're doing. And they're
talking about like the personality?
Yes.
Personality type?
INTJs are like, they're the top. Like, they're the ones that are, everybody hates INTJs, but they want to be INTJ. Batman, for example, is an INTJ. Everybody hates Batman, but they need Batman, right? Because he's got a plan for everything. So all of these guys have guys like this on their side. So all this stuff that you see, it's all done by design, even the incompetence and everything, because systematic incompetence is deliberate intent, because people were deliberately putting those incompetent people there. So it takes away all that stuff. But all these guys understand human nature, and they were betting their lives on human nature. And this is why I said to people, I said, Christians are going to be the one to solve this, because they understand the situation a lot more than other people. Other people will come along and figure it out, but these guys have this type of thing ingrained in themselves, that you have to die to self and work with other people. That's what the church is about. So if you understand that concept, you're going to go a lot further, and then you're taught to fight an enemy that you can't see, which makes things a lot different than the average person who doesn't have that worldview. It'll take them a lot longer to catch up to it. And so
Right.
I understood what they were doing when I saw this, and I was like, I understand human nature. To get people together, you never going to happen. Never, especially now. So I was like, God gave me this to help people to be able to do what they need to do and fight the same enemy without having to agree on every point. And then when people saw that, they were like, get rid of him. That was really it. Because they wanted people to stay divided and so forth. And it would have slowed things down and more people would die, right? And that's really all there is to it. And every person that gets stopped, more people die. And we don't want that to happen, especially when it comes to kids. So, yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I think we're at a really good spot right now, kind of bringing the decent advocates. I do think there are some plans, and there's a couple that I'm investigating right now, but I think there's some plants that are positioned into the advocacy world
Yes.
by the government
Yes.
to either try to slow us down or set us off. And
Yes.
there's some people that are, yeah.
And
They don't
then,
like us. They don't like people like us because we're like the anomaly. I mean, I was a nobody. I lost my kids and I came out of nowhere. I mean, I was a stay-at-home mom for years and years and worked at Spectrum. And then they took my children. I'm like, well, screw you guys. I'm not going to stay here and just, how can I go back to work? You took my children.
if you ever went to the school system, they will know about you. This is why they are very adverse to homeschooling, because they go and they examine each kid and they have a pretty good idea of the ones that are likely to resist. And this is probably one of the reasons why they allowed that stuff to happen with your kids, to break your back, because they know that when it comes to a parent, the worst thing you can do to them is take their kid. You're better off killing them than taking their child. And they understand this.
Yeah, I don't know how true it is, but all of these GATE program videos that I see on TikTok and whatever, I learned all that stuff growing up, like Morse code and the hearing and all the stuff. If those videos are true, then I would say that I was part of the GATE program as a child. But then my family moved, and by the time I was in 8th grade, I was homeschooled 8th grade through 12th grade. So I was completely pulled out of the system. And then by the time I graduated, I actually had an associate's degree through a dual enrollment program by the time I graduated from high school. And so I may have kind of bypassed a lot of their data that they were keeping on me or whatever, but I don't know. But, I credit it all to God. And that's the other thing that I don't want people to forget, is that all of this stuff just kind of landed in my lap. I never went out and set out to say, I'm going to start a movement. This is something that I'm going to go and do. It's just here. And I'm just doing all that I can. And I'm allowing God to lead the way. And that's 100% true. It depends on how much money we have as to where we can go and whether or not we have good tires. We lost 2 tires a couple weeks ago. And then we had a pastor that actually, he donated an SUV to us and a camper, but the SUV died within like 4 or 5 miles after we left his house. And so we've been somewhat stationary for the last week. And some of it is because, Skylar, he's here, and Johnny Wicks, they've been working on this vehicle. Well, Skylar Stevens has completely taken the lead on all this stuff. He's a mechanic. He has a lot of talent, but he's definitely tried to. But if we can't just take it to a shop, he's working with limited tools. We're trying to scrap, the few dollars that we have just to buy and just praying that another donation comes in. That's the thing. God provides when He needed. Because the other day we needed like some wrenches or something, and I'm like, we don't have much money. And I looked down and another $50 came in. So even though it's always like just barely enough, it is still enough. And that's all that we need in order to get it done. Now, what could we do if we had a $40,000 budget a month to work on? I can tell you that we would be doing what we're doing times 50. Because I do this full time. But I know individuals and the people that are with me, Johnny Wicks and Skylar Stevens, the people that are with me, they're doing this full time. it is a full-time job, but we're not getting paid anything. We're just making it as we go, right? But I know 50 or more competent individuals who would take a lesser pay cut, like they would take a pay cut in order to do this full time if we could just pay their bills. That's how devoted they are to the things that we're doing, because they see it. Most of them have lost their children, so yeah, they may be making $6,000 a month, but they would work full time for $4,000 a month if they thought that they would get our children back.
If I had 10 people and $1 million, a lot of people would be in prison within a year. A lot.
I could see that.
Like, I mean, this is one of the, I had my business plan. If I didn't get suppressed, I would have money hand over fist, because who would have wanted kept their business open during the lockdowns? Everybody who lost their business, right? And lost a lot of money. And so I would have been going after people like crazy, because I can't stand people that rape kids. I can't stand people who steal kids. I can't stand people who harm kids and people who protect those who do that filth. No love. Like, you can be rehabilitated if you stole something, but if you're going around killing and raping kids, I'm sorry. There's something wrong with you, and God's going to be the one that's going to deal with you, because if God can't help you, then neither can I. So I'm just going to give you your punishment, and you can get a date with a judgment with Jesus, right? That's really it. I'm not trying to fix it.
I'm just going to publicly say that I'm not for vigilante justice.
No.
I do think that the system needs to work the way that it should. And if we can start applying this pressure, I think that we're going to get there. I think we're going to get there sooner than later. This
yes.
is going to be like in 5 years, we'll see this. I think a lot of this is going to happen this year.
But this is like death penalty. I'm not sitting down saying go out and kill somebody. No. I'm saying,
okay.
I'm saying that the government, this sort of the state is going to go and execute people. Obviously, if you're having to defend somebody and they're trying a crime in progress, do what you need to do to protect the kid. Right? But I'm not going to sit down and say go out and kill people. That's just nonsense, because you don't know if you don't know. Somebody says, oh, that person did that. How do you know? Do you have evidence? No. Right? But if you see somebody, then deal with it. Right? But no, I want the people to get justice. They go get their trials, and they get their punishment, and then we're done. Because they need to set a message, especially to the elected officials and the judges who are concealing this. I think that they should get the stiffest penalties, because they have the most obligation to protect the people, and instead they're using that to take people's rights. That's my source. I was never a person that agreed with the death penalty, because I understood corruption, but when it came to this, and we know that these guys are guilty, and it's just more and more evidence piling up, try them and then deal with them.
And your approach is extremely biblical. Because when you look at in the Bible, it talks about how if you are a leader, in the church, you will be judged more harshly. Well, it's no different here. Why is it that if you're a judge, you are judged softer than everybody else in the country? It shouldn't be that way. You should be judged more harshly.
Yes. 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 They have the greatest amount of culpability because of their position. And that's why this is what people don't understand about leadership. When you take a position of leadership, you take on a lot of responsibility and liability. You cannot, if you have leadership without responsibility and liability, then you have tyranny, because they need to have checks and balances and consequences to check their behavior.
Yeah, 100%. It's their duty, it's their obligation. And there's really no way out of it at this point. There's so many people. I got 1,000 followers on Facebook this week. I haven't had that it was back in October when that first started happening, where I got 1,000 followers. And I think that that's going to increase. I think we're going to be pretty steady on that, just with some of the stuff that we're about to drop with We Expose Monsters Media Group. But that being said, there's a lot of people that are working to push the narrative, to make sure that the public is aware that these children are being trafficked, that we have these predators that are soliciting minors online through social sites like FetLife, Snapchat, all of these different places. Snapchat is a lot of parents. If you're a parent out there and you have your child on Snapchat, get them freaking off. It's
Yes.
nothing but a sex chat. That's all that it is. And it's a place for predators to go and get your children and send them nudes and send them things that they probably shouldn't see. But just all of these, just this technology, all of these things. There's so many people that are wanting to work together to fix this. Veterans are coming. I see it all the time. Veterans are coming forward like I've never seen in my life. It's almost like when 9/11 happened, and I was only 14 at that time, but I remember 9/11, it was like people who never thought at all about joining, the military services, they were like, send me, when can I go? That's
Yes.
what we're seeing now to some degree. We're just we're very limited on who we can reach, but I think we're getting there.
Yeah, and I think that this is important that we start working together, because there's no other way to get this done. Like, when I hear people like, "Oh, I have the solution myself," I'm like, "You're lying. You might have a solution for a portion of something, but not for all of it. Nobody does, and that's why people have to work together in order to get that. And people need to put aside their egos and whatever pride, whatever, just get it done, because we need change. This can't happen, and especially, I mean, you guys have a lot easier in the United States, as much as you guys don't think so, than in other places because of the Constitution, and they can't outwardly go ahead and take away your rights. Like here, I mean, the government censors people, like outright censors people, and they're going to be passing laws where they can just tell people to censor you and then give backdoors into their stuff so they can come in. Canada's tyrannical. And this, what most people in America need to understand, you don't want to have China on the north of you, because this is really what's happening. And Canada is transforming very quickly into that. And they're trafficking kids. And a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of crossing across the border, especially along the border cities. There's not much difference between a Canadian and American, and any which way. Like, sure, you'll hear certain accents and so forth, but if you just see them, you're not going to know the difference, right? They're going to have the same actions and mannerisms and so forth, because of the culture is very similar. And so there's a lot of cross-border stuff, especially when you're looking in places like Alberta, where they have the largest reserve in the United States, on the border of Montana. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going across there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this.
Yes.
I appreciate everything that you're doing, Dale. It's amazing to see all the stuff that you've put together again. I'm so thankful that you, for whatever reason, decided to take that initiative. So we should be serving Florida on Monday, given that we have this SUV fix, which I think that we're going to have it done. So Monday, and then we'll head up to Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama. We'll get all those states done for sure. And Tennessee. We missed Tennessee also, just because of, again, car issues and tires.
Yes.
And we didn't leave St. Louis until, I guess, we got into Tennessee late Friday. It was just crazy. But we'll get it done, I promise.
Yes, and I'll reach out to some people in Georgia as well. South Carolina is extremely grimy. Very grimy. It was like one of the original areas where Satanism got a very big foothold in America. Yes. Yeah, so
all of their judges are elected. None of them are all of their judges are appointed. None of them are elected. None of them. So like in Tennessee, like the circuit court judge, she was appointed, and all of the other judges are elected. Now, once they're appointed, most of the time they don't have an opponent that runs against them. But the juvenile court judge, your general sessions judges in Tennessee, they're all elected. In South Carolina, every judge is appointed. Every one of them.
Wow. It's like in Canada, because the last guy that wanted to push for elected judges and sheriffs, he got tried for treason and executed. Oh yeah, that was Louis. Yeah, because they understood the American system, and the appointed judges, that should never happen. Never ever should you be appointed for life. Nope, not at all. That's how you get problems. So before we go, tell people where they can reach you, how they can help you, that sort of stuff.
So go to justicewithoutlimits.org. I have a donation page there. You can see all of our donation points. We're doing a little bit of a website swap within the next week. So you see a down page or up page or whatever, it won't last long. But justicewithoutlimits.org. Find me on Facebook. I have over 80,000 followers on Facebook. Any other account is a scam account. Do not follow the scam accounts. Same thing with TikTok. I have 18,000, little more than 18,000 followers on TikTok. Any other account is a scam account. They will ask you for money. These scammers will reach out and say, hey, my name is Jessica. Have I sent you this, and this? And then they'll solicit you for money. I never personally solicit anyone for money. If you're getting a message like that, it is not from me. You must go to our website in order to find the donation points, and then that is how you donate. Other than that, follow me on YouTube. I'm trying to get my YouTube channel up so that I can hopefully monetize that, and we can get something going there. On the website, one more thing, on the website, we have the survey is open. If you are in family court, dependency and neglect court, or any type of court dealing with children, please go to the website, justicewithoutlimits.org. Right on the home page, there's a survey. Fill that survey out. I will keep it open for the next couple of weeks. We'll start, pinpointing other hot spots across the country as they come in, but it's just a way for us to keep up with who and what, and what who and where. What I mean by that is meaning who was the judge that committed a crime against you, and where. And that is it. Once you fill that out, you'll be invited to our Zooms. We have Zooms every Sunday at 4:30 Eastern. So the last thing is, I want all of the families, moms, dads, uncles, aunts, grandparents. If you have lost your children, please stay strong and do not give up hope, because if you give up, they absolutely win. And if that order was void in the beginning, it is not void today. And that means that they kidnapped your children. And I am certain that we will be able to get this done and be able to petition to have all of our children brought back to the parents who were loving, healthy, fit, protective, and wanted nothing but the best for all of our children everywhere in this country. So please just stay strong and just believe in your heart that is going to happen.
All right, that's great. So give her a follow. I mean, the work that's being done is good. We need to get this stuff out. We need to hold people accountable. We need to get the evidence submitted, and that's really it. Just, we can't live like this. So, I mean, everybody share this out. Do what needs to be done. I'm going to close here with a prayer, and then we'll see you guys all again next time. All right. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the work that you have played before us. And Lord, we thank you for the work that Jessica is doing and those who are working with her. And Lord, help and guide them as they continue to do this work to help get the people the justice and to protect the children, and help all the other people that are working out for helping the children and to protect the families and so forth, that they would set aside their differences and work on the most important goal of keeping these children innocent and away from harm is my prayer, and that the families would come together and the men and the women would come together to rebuild our families, our churches, our community, and our nation, that we can have some protection for the children until we see you coming in the clouds is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you guys
so much, Dale.
Thank you guys all for coming, and we'll see you